New NASA nuclear rocket plan aims to get to Mars in only 45 days. Alan Boyle, Universe Today on Collective Spark reports, the bimodal nuclear thermal rocket could theoretically take humans to Mars in less than 2 months, according to NASA. Of course, this is using nuclear. We live in an era of renewed space exploration where multiple agencies are planning to send astronauts to the moon in the coming years. This will be followed in the next decade with crewed missions to Mars by NASA and China, who may be joined by other nations before long. These and other missions that will take astronauts beyond the Earth orbit LEO and Earth-Moon system require new technologies ranging from life support and radiation shielding to power and propulsion. And when it comes to the latter, nuclear thermal and nuclear electric propulsion, NTP, NEP, is a top contender. NASA and the Soviet space program spent decades researching nuclear propulsion during the space race. A few years ago, NASA reignited its nuclear program for the purpose of developing bimodal nuclear propulsion. It's a two-part system consisting of NTP and NEP elements that could enable transits to Mars in 100 days. As part of the NASA Innovation Advanced Concepts (NIAC) program for 2023, NASA selected a nuclear concept of Phase 1 development. This new class of bimodal nuclear propulsion systems uses a wave rotor topping cycle and could reduce transit times to Mars to just 45 days. The proposal, titled Bimodal NTP-NEP with a wave rotor topping cycle, was put forward by Professor Ryan Goss, the Hypersonics Program Area lead at the University of Florida and a member of the Florida Applied Research and Engineering FLAIR team. Goss' proposal is the one of 14 selected by NIAC this year for Phase 1 development, which includes a $12,500 grant, that's nothing in my book, to assist in maturing the technology and methods involved. Other proposals include innovative sensors, instruments, manufacturing techniques, power systems, and more. Nuclear propulsion essentially comes down to two concepts, both of which rely on technologies that have been thoroughly tested and validated. For nuclear thermal propulsion, NTP, the cycle consists of nuclear reactor heating liquid hydrogen, LH2, propellant, turning it into iodized hydrogen gas, which is plasma, that is then channeled through nozzles to generate thrust. Several attempts have been made to build and test this propulsion system, including Project Rover, a collaborative effort between the U.S. Air Force and the Atomic Energy Commission, AEC, that launched in 1955. In 1959, NASA took over from U.S. Air Force, and the program entered a new phase dedicated to spaceflight applications. This eventually led to the Nuclear Engine for Rocket Vehicle Application, NERVA for short, a solid-core nuclear reactor that was successfully tested. With the closing of Apollo era in 1973, the program's funding was drastically reduced, leading to its cancellation before any flight tests could be conducted. Meanwhile, the Soviets developed their own NTP concept, RD-0410, between 1965 and 1980, and conducted a single ground test before the program's cancellation. Nuclear electric propulsion, NEP, on the other hand, relies on a nuclear reactor to provide electricity to a Hall effect thruster. This is an ion engine which generates an electromagnetic field that ionizes and accelerates the inert gas like xenon to create thrust. Attempts to develop this technology include NASA's Nuclear System Initiative NSI, Project Prometheus from 2003 and 2005. Both systems have considerable advantages over conventional chemical propulsion, including a higher specific impulse ISP rating, fuel efficiency, and virtually unlimited energy density. While NEP concepts are distinguished for providing more than 10,000 seconds of ISP, meaning they can maintain thrust for close to 3 hours. The thrust level is quite low compared to conventional rockets and NTP. The need for an electric power source, says Gauss, also raises the issue of heat rejection in space, where thermal energy conversion is 30 to 40% under ideal circumstances. And while NTP-NERVA designs are the preferred method for crewed missions to Mars and beyond, this method also has issues providing adequate initial and final mass fractions for high delta V missions. This was why proposals that include the propulsion methods bimodal are favored, as they would combine the advantages of both. Gauss's proposals call for bimodal design based on a solid core NERVA reactor that would provide a specific impulse ISP of 900 seconds, twice the current performance of chemical rockets. Gauss processed cycle also includes a pressure wave supercharger or wave rotor, WR for short, a technology used in internal combustion engines that harnesses the pressure waves produced by reactions to compress intake air. When paired with the NTP engine, the WR would use pressure created by the reactor's heating of the LH2 fuel to compress the reaction mass further. As Gauss promises, this would deliver thrust levels comparable to that of NERVA class NTP concept, but with an ISP of 1,400 to 2,000 seconds. When paired with NEP cycles, said Gauss, thrust levels are enhanced even further. Coupled with an NEP cycle, the duty cycle ISP can further be increased to 4,000 seconds with minimal addition of dry mass. This bimodal design enables the fast transit for manned missions, 45 days to Mars, and revolutionizes the deep space exploration of our solar system. Based on conventional propulsion technology, a crewed mission to Mars could last up to 3 years. These missions would launch every 26 months when Earth and Mars are at their closest, aka a Mars opposition, and would spend a minimum of 6 to 9 months in transit. A transit of 45 days, 6.5 weeks that is, would reduce the overall mission time to months instead of years. This would significantly reduce the major risks associated with missions to Mars, including radiation exposure, the time spent in microgravity, and related health concerns. In addition to propulsion, there are proposals for new reactor designs that would provide a steady power supply for long-duration surface missions where solar and wind power are not always available. Examples include NASA's kilopower reactor using Stirling technology, CRUSTY for short, and the hybrid fission-fusion reactor, selection for Phase 1 development by NASA's NIAC 2023 selection. These and other nuclear applications could someday enable crewed missions to Mars and other locations in deep space, perhaps sooner than we think. And this is on Collective Spark. Alan Boyle, Universe Today. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.